Hi, my name is Tanya. I'm a Spanish speaking librarian with Multnomah County Library School Corps. Today I'm going to share some novelties for 2021. And in this video, I'm going to cover books about girl power, girls who decided enough was enough and took a stand to help others. If you'd like to find the books and websites I mentioned in the presentation, the links are included in the description below.
Go with the Flow by Lily Williams and Karen Schneeman. On the cover, we see four girls peeking out of a bathroom door. Sasha is the new girl in her high school, and she's trying to figure out where she fits in. One day, she gets her first menstrual period while in school. Sasha is oblivious to the blood stain on her white pants. She walks through the hallway as students point, whisper, and laugh behind her back. Luckily, a group of friends, Abby, Christine, and Britt, pull Sasha into the bathroom and let her know what's going on. They assure her that everything's going to be okay. They lend her a sweater to wrap around her waist to hide the stain. They also attempt to get a tampon from the dispenser, but quickly realize it's empty. Actually, why do they even bother trying to get a tampon from the dispenser? It's always empty. Abby has a pad in her locker, but the group starts to wonder, what would a fellow student do if they had an emergency like Sasha? What if there was a student who didn't have money to purchase a tampon, or a friend that could provide them with one? Toilet paper is a human need and is provided to all students. Why aren't pads and tampons considered a human need? Why aren't they provided to students? Abby talks to the secretary at the front office and the principal about this issue, but they all cite budget cuts or lack of funding. This doesn't make sense. The school just purchased uniforms for the whole football team. As the days follow, Sasha is constantly taunted and reminded about her period mishap. Students in her school don't let her live it down. They hang tampons from her locker and tag Bloody Mary on it. She also becomes known as Period Girl. All of this becomes too much and fuels the group of friends to take action to normalize periods, because people's periods are natural and nothing to be ashamed of. They also start a human rights campaign to provide sanitary products in their school. Who would have thought a graphic novel about periods could be so educational, inspiring, and funny? Go with the Flow speaks to the power of friendship and activism to create change. Here are some discussion questions to consider after reading Go with the Flow. Sasha is made fun of because her pants are stained with blood. She's called Period Girl and her locker is vandalized with tampons. What needs to happen so that periods are no longer stigmatized or something shameful in our society? And number 2, do you think sanitary products should be free for all people who menstruate? Why or why not? Number 3, when teachers and or school administrators are not responsive to student concerns, what other courses of action are available to students? And number 4, are period products provided at your school? Are they easily accessible? Does everyone know how to access them? And is there a way to make period products more accessible to students at your school, including those who identify as transgender, genderqueer, or intersex? So here are some websites that can supplement your reading of Go with the Flow. CBS did a story about period poverty, what that is and who is affected. And I also included organizations that are taking action to confront period poverty. And so you can read more about what they're doing. and get involved if you would like. Also, periods can be painful, and so I've included a yoga sequence for menstrual cramps. And there are a diverse range of people, transgender males, people who are genderqueer or intersex that experience menstruation. And so you can read this article, Trans Guys Get Periods, to learn more. And I also included an article about using inclusive, non-stigmatizing language when it comes to periods. Dress Coded by Carrie Firestone. On the cover, we see students standing together, their backs are facing us, and their arms are stretched out. They're holding each other by each other's shoulders. And the letters to the word dress coded are printed on their shirts. Molly is fed up. The school principal and dean of students are obsessed with enforcing the school dress code. Girls with curvier bodies and longer legs tend to be regular offenders of the dress code. They are basically criminalized for the shape of their bodies, something they really can't control. This makes the enforcement of the dress code inconsistent. Female students are constantly accused of being a distraction to the boys who are trying to take school seriously. But what about the daily stress and harassment female students have to endure because of what their bodies look like and what they're wearing? What about the humiliation of being singled out and talked to by the principal in front of peers? What about students having to miss class because they are sent home or need to wait in the office for someone to bring them a change of clothes? Isn't all of this a distraction to girls who are trying to take school seriously? Moreover, the principal and dean have no idea how difficult it is for female students to find long shorts and clothes that meet the dress code standards. Molly is so angry and fed up with the whole situation, she starts Dress Coded, a podcast to speak about this issue and share experiences. Molly unknowingly sparks a revolution. How to Be a Girl in the World by Kayla Carter. On the cover, we see blue skies and white clouds. We see a house in the middle of what looks like apartments. And on top of the words, How to Be a Girl in the World, we see a person sitting and another climbing. Lydia is 12 years old, and the boys at school are constantly commenting about her body. They even nickname her Swing because of the way her school uniform dress swings across her legs when she walks. Having boys pay attention to her body parts rather than who she is as a person makes Lydia feel uncomfortable. Her friends insist she should be flattered, especially when the cute guys are providing the attention. Lydia thinks she must be weird for not feeling the same way. Adding another layer of weirdness is her mom's new boyfriend, Jeremy. His hugs can go on for a little too long when mom is not around. He rubs her wrist during the meal prayer and sometimes grabs her knee under the table during dinner or when they're alone in the car. Plus, Jeremy provides her with candy, something that her mom doesn't allow. The weird touching, the looks Jeremy gives her, and the candy secret make Lydia feel gross. But she questions whether she's making a bigger deal than it really is. She doubts her mom would bring someone dangerous into their house. Lydia tries to hide her body from unwanted attention by wearing layers of clothes, long sleeves, turtlenecks, and sweats, even when it's hot outside. She feels so vulnerable, she even tries a protection spell from a book she finds in the dilapidated house her mom just purchased. Is Lydia being weird? Is she exaggerating? Or should she listen to the warning signal she is feeling? Think about it as you read How to Be a Girl in the World. A Ceiling Made of Eggshells by Gail Carson Levine. On the cover, we see a young person riding a horse and looking up through a tree clearing. Paloma is beloved by her grandfather, so much so that when she is 7 years old, he does not arrange who she will marry, as was the custom in 1400 Spain. Instead, he decides that Paloma will accompany him in his travels and work as a tax collector for the monarchy. At first, Paloma is flattered to be her grandfather's favorite and to have the privilege to travel throughout Spain, as it is something that girls of her time didn't have the opportunity to do. But as she gets older, she realizes she will not be able to marry or have children, which is something she deeply desires. She realizes that instead, she will eventually take on her grandpa's responsibilities of protecting her family and the Jewish community. Traveling through Spain with her grandfather, Paloma is able to witness the injustice and persecution of the Jewish people escalate over time. She observes how her grandpa uses his wealth, social status, trickery, and relationships with powerful Spaniards to protect and help the Jewish people. Eventually, the Jewish people are exiled from Spain if they are not willing to convert to Catholicism. Everything that Paloma learned from her grandfather, her courage and strength, prove essential as she helps her people in her Jewish community leave Spain safely. Down below the video, you will find a link to the full list of titles from this year's Novelties videos, links where you can watch our other school corps presentations, and a link to book discussion tips from Multnomah County Library. We'd also appreciate it if you could fill out our evaluation to let us know what you think of these videos. Finally, you can find out more about School Corps by following the link below.